Alright, so one major problem is that this little roller thing, and I've seen like every single person complain about this particular rifle, is that this screw is super loose when you first get it. Like right when you get it, first thing, open this up and screw this in as tight as possible. Because when I got it, the screw was already unscrewed halfway out. And when I started playing with it a little more, I didn't screw it in tight enough, so the screw came out and I had to like dig around for it. In one of my videos that someone asked about, or when they asked about pros and cons of this, that actually happens in this video, and it just makes the video itself look kind of dumb. But yeah, screw that in as tight as you possibly can, because it comes loose all the time. And then on top of that, when you put this, when you close it, you can see it kind of hits itself like that. So you gotta kind of push it in, and then just... There you go. So just keep that in mind, that this thing sticks out when you try and push the upper receiver together, so it kind of collides with each other. That's kind of a problem, and yeah, just keep that in mind. One more thing is that I'll show you the safety thing. See, right now I'm trying right now to put it on semi, but it's not moving. Yeah, see, it's like completely stuck on semi right now. Oh, there it is. Got it to semi. I'm just gonna leave it like that. It wears it out more. I don't know why it does that for some reason. So all of these at first tend to be like big problems for you, because you expect it to work out of the box like they should. But you kind of just get used to these problems like after you just play with it enough. Oh yeah, another thing is this pin. This pin is really hard to get out. You like 100% need to use a pair of pliers or something to poke it out, and then you have to use the pliers to pry it out like 100% of the time. I've only been able to open this without any tools like probably twice. Some people, I think this might just be my rifle. So this pin is kind of hard to get out. This pin's pretty easy to get out. This one pops in and out. You can use your finger with that one. And I just pushed part of it out just now. This one is really hard to get out. When you open up the receivers, this thing becomes significantly hard to open, or to put on semi. And I never really had a problem with switching from full auto to semi. And I think it's a problem with the detent pin or something wearing out. Charging handle, I guess for now it's fine. It'll work for it'll work for a long time before it needs to be replaced. Again, big problem that stops you from letting the rifle function as it should is this stock is just, it stops the charging handle from moving, so you can't properly keep the bolt back unless you elevate this little cheek riser. I just didn't like the stock. It was fat and bulky and heavy. It just didn't feel good in really any aspect. It looks cool. I thought it looked pretty dope, but on top of that, you can put some CR123 batteries in here, and it's got little like molded looking things that you can put the CR123 batteries in so they don't move around, and it keeps them pretty quiet and stuff. Put whatever you want in there, but it's a pretty small compartment. The barrel that this came with, not the barrel, the flash hider, it unscrews like perfectly, so you don't have to worry about like those pins that are keeping the flash hider in place and all that. So yeah. What else? This dust cover works fine. This for the most part works fine. This works fine. That's just a quick look. If you get this, you're gonna like need to use CO2 magazines with this. Like, it's the only way for it to be reliable. I've gotten quite a few double feeds with both of these magazines. I don't know why, but I just get double feeds with these magazines every now and then. This one more often though. So it's probably a magazine problem. This is not very efficient. This is not an efficient rifle when it comes to saving gas. I could put 30 rounds in and I'll barely get 30 shots out of when I fill it completely with gas. These ones, I could probably fill it with 30 and I'll get like 35 shots. So this thing just like wastes your gas. Again, that's something I would say a CO2 magazine would work flawlessly with this. To be honest, I would say buy this and then just over a few years just start replacing things. Like 1 year replace the bolt, which I think would be like #1 priority. One day replace the triggers, or maybe not the trigger. Maybe replace this like that. You like that? Pew 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 pew, no pew. I like that. I think replacing the handguard was one of the big things for me. Replacing the stock is paramount if you want it to be lightweight at the very least, because this stock is just bulky. Like, it's like, it feels like I'm just carrying like 3 pounds of weight just in my hand right now. So that thing adds a ton of weight, and you can feel it because it creates an off balance. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It did not come with this rear sight. I don't remember what it came with, but I wanted something that the Army used, and you know, I decided to just use this. So yeah, don't operate in 75-degree heat, or unless it's 75-degree heat or hotter. Don't since I have other gas blowback airsoft guns, I just don't really use this often anymore. I just kind of find this to be unreliable at like the worst times. Until I could get CO2 magazines, I guess is number one, is getting CO2 magazines or getting a bunch of these. This is one of the original Magpul ones. Yeah, this one's seen a lot of wear. I bought it used and it works. For the most part, it's the most reliable one. One thing that is the most annoying thing for me. One thing that's annoying for me. Alright, get this. Hold on. I'm trying to do this one-handed and it gets stuck right there. See that? It's just stuck like that. But when and this is the magazine. It's like a... Alright, I'll take the magazine out. It works just fine. So I'll do it again. There it is. Ta-da. And now I usually just check right here, because sometimes it can still go forward. So that's the problem, is that that happens with literally any magazine. It could be this magazine, it could be this magazine. It gets stuck at about right here all the time with like a ton of different magazines. So there's a problem with like friction or something as it sits right there. That's something to be aware of, is that you're gonna have to hit the forward assist a lot, and again, a lot of times just slapping it will make the bolt always go forward. So that's just a little plus. Or if it's stuck halfway, just charge the charging handle like as fast and hard as you can, and it'll just go forward. Another thing is that if you have it locked back, sometimes when you use the charging handle, you're using it like too slow, and there's not enough power for the bolt to go forward. So it's better to just hit the bolt release or the bolt catch. You literally want to just slap that as hard as you can, and it'll usually go forward it'll go forward most of the time. But on top of that, if you use the bolt catch, you probably aren't gonna be able to slap it hard enough. So the bolt will be like right here, and then you could probably just use your finger to push it forward a little more, because when it's like that, it still fires, but there's a little bit of a gap, so there's not as much like compression, you know, between, you know, the nozzle and the hop up and all that. So some of the gas doesn't get used a lot, and because of that, the FPS will be like, because I've had this thing shoot at like 200 FPS. It just gets lower FPS when it's just kind of seated like that. So that's something to be aware of, because sometimes it'll chrono at like, you know, some low number, and then when you start using it, the bolt is all the way forward, so you get like another like 20 FPS. Just, yeah, like 20 FPS difference, just because it's like a millimeter off. That's another big problem. I'm just remembering all these, because I decided to just not touch this for a few months. Although the hop up itself is pretty consistent. Most of the time I'm able to catch when the bolt's not forward enough. I just look at it, I'm just like slide it a little forward, and then it works just fine. But it's pretty much always like 350, a little under. Maybe I'll play with this. It's like just, you're gonna get heat stroke looking at this, just looking outside here in California right now. So this thing might actually work properly, because the only time I'm ever able to get it work is when it's ridiculously hot. So yeah, this thing, it works, but at the same time it's got a lot of little tiny problems that just turn it into one big frustrating problem. Yeah, that's it. Goodbye. Another thing is that I forgot to say, I had this big like thing on Microsoft Word ready for me to like use as a script, and I just didn't go off that at all. So I'm just going to this is when I first got the rifle. I haven't read it at all, so yeah, I don't know if it's finished. Yeah, I didn't finish this, but I'm just gonna copy and paste this into the description, because I know someone's gonna want to read it. So yeah, I'm just gonna edit my video a little bit, because like I just sit there and stutter a ton. So I'm gonna edit the video, and I'm just going to put the video, or put my little script into the description and you can read what my original thoughts were. Bye.